Hey, Tech Family, we're super excited about today's topic. We're going to talk about 4 steps to sell yourself on LinkedIn, your resume, and in your interview. Now, it's important you stay all the way to the 4th step so that way it will all make sense. All right, you ready? Let's go. All right, guys. So, point number 1, identify what the role requires. So how are you going to know what the role requires?
For me, it was just looking at countless job descriptions on LinkedIn and looking in the skill or the characteristic section where they're defining like the actual skill set or personality type or what have you that they're looking for in the job. And looking for those reoccurring themes and really paying attention to that, right?
Right. That makes a lot of sense because each job is so different and unique, but you can look at different job descriptions and you can still find those common qualities and skills they're looking for. So you want to be able to identify first what it is they're looking for.
And so like we're in tech sales or business development in the tech industry. And so skill sets that I was identifying was something like self-starter.
Right.
When we were getting into it, that's something that kind of like I remembered, or a good communicator.
Yes.
Right? It's like, okay, so they're really looking for somebody like this.
Yeah.
That's
so
good.
Go through, read those job descriptions and find out, identify what they're looking for.
Cool. So step 2, decide which requirements or skills fit you.
Yes.
You have to decide that, right?
Yeah.
That is important. So again, we're building towards step 4, but once you start identifying these recurring themes, now you got to start isolating these skills, taking real note, and then start thinking, which ones can I honestly walk into an interview or put on a resume or put on my LinkedIn that actually describes me?
That's good. And it has to be true, right? So you want to be sure. Now they're going to have many different skills.
Now, don't get me
listed.
wrong. I get it. We gon' push it a little bit.
Right.
I'm a fabricator too when it come to
Look,
grabbing
keep
the
it
job.
real. Keep it real.
But look, don't stretch it too far beyond what you can really prove, right?
And you don't want to.
You don't.
Because if you're not a people person, if you don't like to talk, if you're not a good communicator,
right,
then that role is maybe not for you, right? So
the hiring manager gonna pick back up your resume while they in the interview, like, didn't they write this down about themselves?
No.
Was this a mistake?
You need to keep looking for another role. Yeah. Find a role that fits you, right?
That's funny. Anything else you want to add to that one?
No, that's
Good.
it.
All right, cool. Point 3.
Number 3. Now you have to prove it, right? So you want to be able to prove these skills. You can use volunteer opportunities, certification, education, anything that can prove that these skills is a part of who you are.
So pulling your background together now, right? So now this is what you're doing. You're building a context and a support to that. And look, and again, it's stuff you put on your resume. It's stuff you put on your LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Or if you have whatever, some other type of job search profile portal that you're describing yourself about, right? Your educational background, your work history, your volunteer efforts, your certifications, right? Start pulling actual examples from those areas of your background, and then being able to state, hey, this is why I say I'm a good communicator. Because in my last management role, I had to constantly put out fires with disgruntled guests who were eating in the restaurant, and I had to smooth things over. And then, and we still ended up getting good reviews.
There you go. That's it. As long as you can prove it.
Proving it, right? And then you got an example off the top of your head for you?
Go ahead. I know you have one.
Well, let's see. All right. So for me, part of how I started pulling things from my past, it wasn't always me highlighting my work history. Like, I really highlighted my volunteer history as well,
Yeah.
right? So my ministry background, my background with like doing outreach in the community, my background with just dealing with people and running things from a logistical standpoint of just mobilizing and putting together like efforts in the community.
Right.
I used that to prove a certain skill set when
Right.
I was in front of the person who I was interviewing with.
There's always a way to tie it in. So I had a job that I did for maybe 10 years, and it was a program director for a mentoring program. And so here I am trying to get a sales job. But as the program director, one of the things I had to do was sell the program. So I had to make cold calls, call different schools, call different principals, set up meetings, and sell our program to these schools.
Yeah.
So I was able to use that and tie it in for, although I didn't have sales experience, I did this for 10 years, sold a program from scratch, and I was able to prove the skills they were looking for with this job.
Stay at home mom.
Yeah.
Come on, talk about that. Talk about that.
That was another thing. So as I was applying, I was currently a stay-at-home mom. I had no current job. But as a mom, the moms that are watching, you learn how to communicate. So I talked about that in one of my interviews.
And that was a big deal, if I remember correctly,
yeah,
right?
I was able to say, I have a toddler. I said, if you can communicate to a toddler, you can communicate to anybody. And I had the people laughing on the interview, but it's true. So I was even able to use that. You have to find, there are transferable skills in anything.
Yeah.
You just got to find a way to prove it. Look at your job history with a fine-tooth comb. Look at your work history. Look at your volunteer experience. Even if, let's say, you volunteered and, just find a way to tie it in. Because it doesn't have to be a paid job. Any experience you have, a certification you did, training you did, find a way to tie it into those skills they're looking for. And now you've just proved why you're qualified.
Look, I was talking to someone who's an accountant the other evening. And great conversation with them. And as we're talking, I'm just thinking, I'm like, okay, so you have the ability to pay attention to detail, right? You have the ability to complete a task from start to finish. You're educated, obviously, you're an accountant, but then you're like going through the paperwork and the financial statements and preparing these things, right? So you have that ability to create a task, and I don't know if I said all of this, but even when it seems boring, you can finish a task from start to finish and execute that. Yeah. So being able to tie your background in.
That's big.
So
Step 4.
Question: do you have no tech background and you're looking for a way in without breaking the bank? Well, check out Course Careers 14-day money back guarantee. You can also look at a free course before you decide to get started. Oh, and don't forget, use the link in the description for $50 off any course. Back to the video. Tell your story.
Yes.
Look, the resume, the LinkedIn, the interview, it all should revolve around what you have done in steps 1, 2, and 3. Now listen, if it really don't need to be on your resume and you cannot back, right? Look, every job ain't got to be on your resume, y'all.
That's true.
Like, look, if you worked 40 jobs, that's cool. But you don't want to bore the recruiter when they pick up your resume to only look at it for 6 to 7 seconds.
Right.
And they be like, I can't read all. I don't know what they. Next, right?
True.
Right. So
right.
you got to be specific,
Streamlined.
right?
Yes.
Put and highlight and draw the attention to the areas in your background that can really prove that you have the skill set that the hiring manager or recruiter is looking for.
And another thing with telling your story, get comfortable talking about your story. So you can't wait until the interview. This can't be the first time you've ever told your story.
Right.
Share with a spouse, a friend, partner, someone. Get comfortable talking about your skills, right? First, you've identified your skills. Now you've decided your skills.
Yeah.
Now you've proved them. Now you have to be able to tell them.
Yeah.
So you want to get comfortable. I talked about being a stay-at-home mom. I really talked about two things: stay-at-home mom and being a program director for a mentoring program. That was it.
Wow.
Those were the two things I talked about the most. And,
Wow.
even in one of my interviews, someone asked me, what is your greatest accomplishment? I went back to the story and I told them about a young lady I met while she was a pregnant teenager. And how to this day, she's one of my closest and dearest friends. And I helped her walk through one of the most difficult times in her life, being a single teenage mom. I met her through mentoring and was able to just help her become a woman and learn life skills. Her mom wasn't really too much involved in her life. And I told the hiring manager, who's now my manager at this time, when he asked for my greatest achievement, I talked about her.
Wow.
Again, that story.
Yes.
It's all consistent. So I had this, on my LinkedIn. I had it on my resume. Now here I am on my interview talking about the same thing.
Look, y'all, very to the point. Again, when a recruiter pick up your resume, y'all, just think about it. They literally only spending 6, 7, 8 seconds glancing at it, right?
That's true.
So whatever you put on that resume, you need it to matter. Wherever their eyes land, you need their eyes to land on a skill that's mentioned in the job description that you got written out, and then a straight to the point with a metric, with an example of how you fit that skill that will provoke them to want to read more. Same way with the LinkedIn. Listen, y'all, basically from the header to the about, to your experience, you're only putting the examples and magnifying what ties into the skill that is on the job descriptions reoccurring that you are seeing. And then in the interview, when they're asking you questions like, so tell me about yourself, your story.
That's it.
Hey, so why do you want to work in this position? Oh, well, it's because of this in my background, my story, my history has prepared me.
Yeah.
So what are you going to bring to the table? My story. So why should we hire you? My story.
That's it.
It's
You're
your
ready.
story.
You're ready.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Listen, y'all, we hope that you enjoyed this video, and we will see you next time. Y'all be blessed.